Yo, what's up, YouTube? Hope everyone is great, having a great afternoon. It's probably lunchtime, but maybe y'all about to get something to eat. We're gonna look at some topics that's going on in the world right now. Thank you all for the likes, shares, subscribes, and the views. I truly appreciate it. Let's see what's going on. Trump, Andrew Tate problem just got worse.
The only thing between you and your website is a sentence. Base 44. Your website. Without wasting a minute.
Judge, say, Your Honor, this is why for the first time in your story career that you should let Andrew Tristan Tate out. If she says no and they stay in, then we have an extradition fight. If we lose that extradition fight, then it needs to go to the Secretary of State, which is of course Marco Rubio, and we'll make a compelling presentation to him as well as to why they should be extradited. And if they do extradite him, well, then you can understand that the Republican Party is lost.
Folks, that is Joe McBride, lawyer for Andrew and Tristan Tate, just yesterday threatening again Donald Trump and the entire Republican Party that if they don't bail out his clients, that they are going to destroy the Republican Party from within. This is a massive political domestic issue for the Trump administration and the MAGA movement. It is also a huge international crisis in the making. They are going out of their way now to target Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, because they believe that Rubio is the front runner for the 2028 presidential nomination for the Republicans, and they're looking for any avenue they can find to convince the Republican Party to step in and save them. Because if they don't, the Tate brothers will spend the rest of their life in prison for the monstrous crimes they've committed against women and kids. Let's dive into the latest in this bizarre story and why it might mean the end of Donald Trump's MAGA movement as we know it. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Be sure to engage with this video. Help us to build an independent media company that can take our country back from creeps like Donald Trump and Andrew Tate. And folks, I want to start here because you have to understand that there is an increased AstroTurf AI-generated campaign online right now designed to gin up sympathy inside Donald Trump's MAGA movement for the Tate brothers. They are trying to convince Donald Trump and his people through social media memes that it is in their best interest to save the Tate brothers. This is an AI-generated meme that they posted just yesterday.
No extradition without Trump's permission! Americans first!
That is some weird shit. I don't know what else to, how else to describe.
Bro, the Tate's getting desperate as hell, I swear. They are getting desperate as hell. Man, hate it. Like, I don't think this is the right way, honestly. If you're threatening to expose the president, do you want to get Epstein? Seriously, like, that's not the right way to go about it.
It's just absolutely weird shit. But they have created this idea amongst Andrew Tate's most loyal supporters that the only person who can save Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate is Donald Trump himself. They're also now adding Marco Rubio to the mix in that in social media, as you heard in the speech at the beginning of this video. That is a bad place for them to be because Donald Trump.
You know, it's funny they mentioned them, but a lot of people also believe it's either going to be Ron DeSantis with the governor of Florida or JD Vance. Yeah, I honestly believe Ron DeSantis probably had the best out of those others too. Just because people like him, especially in the South. And I believe that with that being said, they know they can't ask Ron DeSantis because Ron DeSantis hate the Tates. So they burned too many bridges. They thought they was untouchable. Now they asking for help. That's why you got to be careful with like how you treat people on your way on top, because you might have to go back down and ask them for help.
And Marco Rubio cannot afford to save the Tate brothers. One, they simply do not have the domestic political capital at this moment. They cannot afford another scandal at a time when Donald Trump is literally trying to save his protege, Congressman Max Miller, who's been accused of heinous crimes against his wife and his own daughter. They can't afford to do that. And Marco Rubio doesn't want to get caught up in this mess because he'd like to stay clean heading into the Republican Party nominating contest in 2028. Not to mention the fact that the two of them are trying to figure out a way to end this stupid war in Iran. They need as many allies as they can, and they cannot afford to piss off the United Kingdom, with a very strong extradition treaty that we have for them. The Tate brothers may be up a creek without a paddle, and they are becoming and acting more and more erratic as they understand it may be the end of the line for them. And you can see that in the increasingly ridiculous tweets that Andrew Tate is posting on X. And I want to be clear, guys, I don't think Tate actually has access to his phone. I don't think he's actually tweeting this shit. He's either delusionally saying and dictating it to his lawyer, Joe McBride, and McBride is posting it, or they've got some social media managers, some snot-nosed 20-something-year-old kid that's writing this crap for him. Let me just show you a few of them. The first one is, you can also commit injustice by doing nothing. And my immediate reaction when I saw this yesterday in my X feed was to be reminded of my favorite quote from the most recent Deadpool from Wolverine, where he just looks at the camera and goes, "Shutting the fuck up is also free." Because that's it, okay? There's no injustice being committed against Andrew Tate here.
Oh, shit.
Of absolutely disgusting, monstrous crimes. They're so bad that if I say them on YouTube, this video will be suppressed. But they have harassed and abused women. They have treated women. They have hurt and abused kids. They have put them in danger, and they have bragged about it on their podcast and all over the internet. And now they're shocked that it has caught up to them. They thought their relationship with Donald Trump and his kids was enough to save them. And it appears, at least at this moment, that it's not. And here's another one. In the arena, it's filthy, heartbreaking, and bloody, which is why 99.9% of men simply watch from the sidelines with an opinion. Listen, pal, you're not in the arena. You're in prison. You're behind bars. And you're not behind bars because you were in some magnificent...
Yeah, it's true. It's on him. Like, he really overvalued the friendship with Donald Trump's son and other Trump family members. They were not really his friends. They just used him to get the man vote. This business. You forgot. It's not personal. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it on that subject. Let's see what's else going on in the world. Actually, I think it's Keefe D and Tupac trial. Let's see what's going on with that. Get the likes, share, and subscribe. I thank you for it.
Kaiser University was built to help students move forward. Career-focused programs, flexible learning options, personalized support.
Now, what you're trying to find out about Tupac that he never heard. So when he took over the case in 2017, that's when he retired. In 2023, was in front of the grand jury. He never wrote a report. Not one time. Not like Detective Becker, and not like Detective Long, and not like any other police officer who does their job. This man never writes a report. In fact, what happens is he transitions, right? Metro Detective, retires, then he gets a job, working as an independent contractor for the district attorney's office as an investigator. And as an investigator, he doesn't have police power. He continues to work as a detective on his case. Even though the procedure is you hand your file and your officer's report to the next detective in line. That's how this works. But he keeps the file for himself and he starts billing against the file after he retires as a detective in the Metro. Because now he's an independent contractor. That's important to know. Why is that important? Because what the evidence is going to show you is that he backloaded his work. And when he finally writes the report, it's not an officer's report, it's an investigative report that spans from 2018 to current, and we just received it about 5 weeks ago. The importance of capturing everything you do, the accuracy that you would need to be able to be in court on a murder case, not some type of, college paper that you forgot to do and then the last second just put something together and, get it out the door. Mr. Mogg does not do any of that. That's going to be important later for you to consider. Because according to that report that he submitted 5 weeks ago or so, he never verified the book. According to that report, he never investigated.
How y'all honestly feel about Keefe D after all these years actually being charged and going to court for trial for this? Honestly, in my heart of things, I believe his nephew, Orlando Jones, was the one that did it. But later on, I think like a month or two, he was killed. So I believe he possibly complicit that he was in a car. So he might get charged for that, possibly. But everything else is hearsay. Like, it's kind of, sad too, thinking about how Tupac might get some justice, his family, but his mom died, and he got some siblings, and Biggie mom died. But the good thing about his grandmother, she's 104 years old, and she recently just had a birthday. She's alive, and Biggie have kids too, so it's still justice not gonna be served, I feel, in the end of things.
Reggie Wright Jr. He's the security company for, thank you, for Death Row Records. And what he is a felon. Second of all, you're also invited, he's a former Compton police officer. He worked for Compton PD for about 5 years, and apparently he got disabled. At some point he becomes a felon. You don't learn about that. And his father, like I said before earlier, Reggie Wright Sr. was the head of the Compton PD gang. What you're also going to learn about Reggie is that, once again, he was supposed to be protecting Suge Knight. Where was he the night of the shooting? In addition to that, he orders his security team to not carry firearms the night of the shooting, before the shooting took place. What you're also going to learn is he wasn't even around when the shooting occurred. So the principal, meaning the person he should have been protecting the most, would have been Suge Knight, the head of Death Row Records. This man was nowhere to be found. He was sitting at a club called 662 down the street, waiting for Suge to show up, while he left his people that were working for him unarmed in the vehicles behind Suge Knight. And when push comes to shove, he orders his people to lie to the police during their investigation. That's going to be called by that. That guy's going to be called by that. In addition to that, when everything was said and done, Suge Knight went to prison because he was not supposed to be in a fight in Las Vegas. He violates his release. Guess who takes over the records? Reggie Wright Jr. Now, the state is also going to bring in other people.
They're going over the deliberation. We're gonna get back on this when the Tupac trial is underway. I'll keep you all posted.
Nearly 3 decades after the killing of rap icon Tupac Shakur, the panel of 12 jurors and 4 alternates is now seated. An opening statements are set for Monday in the murder trial of ex-gang leader Keefe D Davis. Prosecutors allege that Davis, the only person ever charged in connection with Shakur's 1996 killing, orchestrated the deadly drive-by shooting near the Las Vegas Strip in retaliation for an attack by the rapper and his entourage against Davis' nephew Orlando Anderson. Now, Davis
Anderson, his name.
charges and is pleaded not guilty. The trial is expected to last 4 to 5 weeks. So let's bring in ABC News legal contributor and criminal defense attorney Bernardo Villalona for more. Bernardo, listen, Here we go. Okay, let's go on this trial. Now, prosecutors, they hinged this entire case on his 2019 memoir, and they say that essentially he set up this entire shooting. Now, the defense says that everything in that book is not true. They're saying that he did not direct this shooting. So what can we expect to see on the first day of the trial?
So what we expect to see tomorrow during opening statements is the prosecution is going to give a preview. They're going to give a roadmap as to what this case is all about. So absolutely they're going to talk about that fatal date, September 1996. They're going to give some information as to who Tupac was and his legacy. They're also going to give information. You're going to hear about Suge Knight, of course. You're going to hear about the actual shooting, but you're also going to hear a timeline of all these statements that Keefe D Davis has given. Even the most crucial one, the one where he gave during the proffer agreement, where at that point he admitted to being a part of this fatal shooting. You're also going to hear a timeline of all the various statements that he has given, in addition to, most importantly, that book, that self-proclaimed memoir that Keefe D wrote. Now, on the flip side, the defense. I'm curious to see what the defense is going to say. The defense doesn't have to give an opening statement, but if they do give an opening statement, I want to know whether they're going to allege the defense such as an alibi. I want to know whether they're going to say that the memoir and every interview that Keefe D has given is a lie, that they were only giving those.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to be when it comes to like their actual saying it was all like made up stories, because how close he was to the situation and the animosity that he had for Suge Knight and Tupac.
Interviews in order to make money, Keefe D was, or are they going to go with the plain generic opening statement where it's like the prosecution waited 30 years, Keefe D didn't do the shooting, and they're not going to be able to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt? Because let's be clear, the prosecution does have some issues in terms of they no longer have the car, they never recovered the firearm, they don't have any live eyewitnesses actually putting the gun on someone, and Keefe D is not the one who actually had the gun in his hand. Instead, he's alleged to have passed the gun to someone in the back that ultimately fired and killed Tupac.
Now, you said it yourself, the prosecution here, they're going to present in so many forms of interviews, a lot of the times his own words. You mentioned part of that, the interview he gave in 2009 to federal investigators, that proffer agreement. They're expecting to use parts of that interview. So how damaging are Keefe D's own words in this case?
Oh my God. So, I feel like I had to do from Rush Hour. Remember when Chris Tucker was like, do you hear the words coming out of my mouth? That is exactly what's going to happen in this case. Keefe D Davis dug himself his own hole. If it weren't for his self-proclaimed interview and his admissions and his statements, we wouldn't be here today. Because to be clear, the prosecution's case is built on all of these statements. And of course, you have the memoir, and there has been rumblings for years about who's actually involved. But for the prosecution, it's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. And even though they knew in 2008 he was involved, they needed more information and more evidence to, number one, corroborate it, but also to be able to take themselves out of that proffer agreement to be able to use that against them. So here we have it. Keefe D, because of you opening up your mouth, yapping, and trying to get some stardom or some money or...
Yeah, Keefe D, is your fault, honestly. Yeah, that's what I pretty much have right now. What do you all think about this situation with, Keefe D, Tupac, and the Tates and Trump? Y'all let me know. Thank you so much. I'll be back for the next video.